Hello, Watem here. Welcome back to small Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Let us continue.
お父様が食堂で執行したのは魔女の碑文の第1の番の6人殺しなんでしょ？なら第2の番は寄り添いし2人を引き裂け。
Canon-chan?
逃げ隠れて寄り添っている郷田さんと熊沢さんがもう殺されている可能性だって否定できないわ。
They're part of the two who are close. Would that be fitting? I don't know.
きっとゲストハウスに合流してて子供たちを守ってくれているなんて楽観。現時点では全くできないわよ。
Kyrie coldly analysed the worst-case scenario. For her, it was heartbreaking to have lost her beloved husband. Right now, the most important thing was protecting that husband's son, along with the other children, from becoming the insane family head's sacrifices. She overcame her sadness with a parental urge to protect children from sorrow. It seemed that both Kyrie and Kraus were strong enough to forget about their grief, if only for the time being. They would let their tears flow later. In order to protect the children, they had to act.
とにかくここを脱出しよう。相当古い牢屋のようだ。なんとか鉄格子を破れないだろうか。室内をくまなく探して脱出手段を探してみよう。
ここにはガラクタがいろいろあるわ。何か役に立ちそうな道具とか落ちてないかしら。
In this very locked door, perhaps? It might have hinges that you might be able to push out?
武器になるものがあるかもしれないし、鉄格子を破れるものがあるかもしれない。
Depends on the design. Kyrie pulled a lighter from her pocket. She herself didn't smoke, but she kept one tucked away in her pocket to read off cigarettes. It was an extremely valuable source of light for searching in this dim dungeon.
シャノンはキリエさんを手伝い、室内を探索してくれ。カノンは私と一緒に鉄格子の具合を確かめてみよう。これだけ古い牢屋だ。
You said that?
ひょっとするとガタが来ているかもしれない。
私は何をお手伝いしましょうかな。
体力を温存していてください。やがてここに親父殿が現れるだろう。親父殿に言葉が届くのは南條先生だけです。
One might, but they won't.
ある意味、南條先生に我々の命は握られているかもしれない。
私の言葉などもう届きはせんでしょう。申し訳ないが、そのお役には立てそうにない。
なら南條先生のお医者としての知識を貸してください。人間を即座に混沌させるような毒って存在するのかしら。
人間を即座に混沌させる毒？どういうことですか？
私たちは落とし穴に落とされてこの地下牢に落ちてきたと信じている。
What if you just had the sensation of falling and were knocked out or something? So ended in dungeon. However, didn't someone dodge out of the way, but then fell into the second one?
あの混乱している場で私たちはそうだったろうと信じたわ。
Yeah, get knocked unconscious and then moved into the dungeon.
でもこの地下牢の広さを測ってみて分かった。
It's shorter than the...
この地下牢があの食堂の地下というのはありえないことなのよ。
Is it longer? I don't know.
どうしてありえないってわかるんですか？
姉さんはバカだな。
It's either that it's too short for all of them to have fallen into the same place, or it's too long to fit in underneath.
この地下牢は食堂に比べて狭すぎる。
The former.
その通り。一番目に落とされたのはクラウス兄さん。二番目が私。
Yeah, the drug idea doesn't quite work with like the order of falling, I think, because they conceive the pit of the other people falling before them.
クラウス兄さんはこの部屋に落ちてきた時 その場を動いたかしら。
お恥ずかしながら落下の痛みでうめいていたよ。そのすぐ傍らにキリエさんがすぐに落ちてきたんだ。
But I mean, you could potentially have it be angled pits, so then it wouldn't necessarily line up one-to-one with the dining room.
食堂でのクラウス兄さんと私の立ち位置と落下時の落下場所の距離が明らかにおかしいのよ。
確かに言われてみればその通りです。
I mean, I guess it depends how long we were falling.
その次に落ちたのは私だから、お二人の位置関係はよく覚えている。食堂でのお二人の間の距離はこの部屋よりもあったかもしれない。
私たちは落とし穴に落ちてダイレクトにここに落下したわ。集合する下水道管みたいに一度集められてからここに落ちたわけじゃない。落下は一瞬だったでしょ。そんな凝った排水管みたいな穴を転がされた覚えはないわ。
It wouldn't have to be all that elaborate. You just need to have a slight angle on your whatever pit things.
確かに落とし穴では説明がつかんな。
I mean, unless they never touched any walls, in which case, yeah, they're going to be falling straight down.
おかしな話だ。
それとキリエ様のおっしゃる人間を即座に混沌させる毒というのはどう関係があるんですか？
But perhaps they could fall into a pit where the drug was, if it's a gas heavier than air, for example. Then you could fall into that pit, get knocked unconscious, then afterwards they drag people off into the dungeon.
キリエ様は多分食堂に落とし穴なんかなかったとお考えなんじゃないかな。
The problem with there being no pitfalls is that you could see the other people falling. Unless they, like, because the table is in the way, they just see them fall down, they don't see the actual pit. But again, someone saw the pit and dodged out of the way, didn't they?
しかし現に私たちは落ちたぞ。
落とし穴に落ちたような気がするが正解よ。無理もないわ。そうとしか例えられない体験だったから。
なるほど。
It is somewhat easy to trigger the sensation that you're falling. You've probably felt it when you're half asleep, when you get jerked back awake. It's got a name, it's got some fancy medical term, scientific name. But yeah, basically that's you think you're falling and so you jerk yourself up.
つまりこうおっしゃいたいわけですな。私たちは落とし穴に落とされたのではなく、例えば毒矢のようなもので撃たれ瞬時に意識を失い、その倒れて床に突っ伏す瞬間の記憶をまるで落とし穴に落ちたよと思い込んでしまっているのかもしれないと。
なるほど。食堂に無数の落とし穴が仕掛けられていて、我々がそれに何十年も気づかず食事をしていたとするよりは、よほど説得力のある話だ。
姉さん、時計はある？
うん。懐中時計があるわよ。
How much time has passed?
22時40分くらいね。
僕の時計もそうなってる。つまり僕たちは食堂での大騒ぎから十数分も時間を経過させてないってことになる。
Unless all of your watches were manipulated. But then they'd have to know where you keep your watches.
私の時計も同様だ。我々が混沌させられてどこかへ担ぎ込まれたと仮定するには、時間の経過が短すぎる。時間だけを見るなら、やはり我々は食堂の真下へ落とし穴で落とされたと考えるのが妥当だ。
時計の針なんていくらでもいじれるわ。
And you're underground, so you can't really tell what's happening outside.
私たちが気絶している間に全員の時計を巻き戻したのかもしれない。
It seems a bit excessive, but oh well.
その可能性がなかったことは証明不能よ。
Yeah, at the moment we can't disprove it. Although it would be excessive for a mundane murder.
落とし穴にせよ、混沌させる毒にせよ、私たちは用心するに越したことはないというわけですな。
それで南條先生、混沌させる毒は存在するんですか？
And potentially induce a sense of falling.
それは、桐江さんの論法と同じですな。私の知らない未知の毒物にそういう効用のものがないとは証明できません。
Yeah.
用心に越したことはないということね。ごめんなさい。無駄な質問だったわ。ただ、私の仮説により、この地下牢が食堂の真下とは限らないという可能性は示唆できたと思う。
You could have some intermediate one where, I guess that doesn't really matter.
なるほど。広大な森の中のどこかに隠されていると噂される。親父殿の隠し屋敷の地下牢に運び込まれている可能性もある。
I was
とい
wondering
う
about
こと
that.
か。ここを脱出して外へ出ればそれもわかる。それを詮索するのはここから出てからでもいいだろうな。
その通りね。本当にごめんなさい。さっきから無駄な質問と詮索ばかりだわ。
いや、とても頼もしいよ。今後も何かに気づいたら教えてくれたまえ。ここを脱出する何かのヒントになるかもしれない。ルドルフからいつも聞かされていたよ。君の発想にはいつも驚かされ、時には重要なヒントにもなるとね。
Now, what would have been neat is if one of the characters knew that their watch was slightly delayed or was running fast, and then seeing it set to the same time would tell them, they have been messed with.
君がここに
ありがとう。
Actually, your hero's blessing within the tragedy.
私もルドルフさんに聞いてるわ。クラウス兄さんは普段は威張っているけれど、いざという時は責任感にあふれる頼りがいのある兄だって。
さすがにそれは世辞が過ぎるね。くそ。それにしても頑丈な鉄格子だ。カノンの方はどうかね。
いえ、こちらも全く。
Kraus and Kennen tried wiggling the bars in various ways. There were a few bars that could be twisted, and a few had enough space to rust a little bit around in. But they couldn't be broken with human strength alone. Leverage! Yeah! However, there was still hope if they could use some kind of lever-like tool. I had my hand in the way of seeing leather, but I got it right. Still far too early to give up yet. Yeah. Some other way of mechanical advantage as well could work. The children's lives were hanging in the balance. Even if there was no hope, they couldn't stop their struggle. And it was better for them to act this way. If they were to stop, there's no doubt they'd once again be overcome by the grief of losing their loved ones and curl up, clutching their knees.
キリエさんたちの方はどうかね。何か見つかったかね。
握って隠せる程度の石ころは見つかるわ。こんなものでも武器にはなるかも。
Not a great weapon, but a weapon nonetheless.
さすがに鉄格子を削り取ることは無理でしょうね。シャノンちゃんはどう？
いいえ、何も。これ、電話です。
つながってるわけもないわ。
I doubt it's connected, but I don't doubt that it will ring at some point.
でも、コードは何かを縛ったり、武器にも使えるかも。壊して分解すれば、金属部品を取り出せるわ。クラウス兄さん、鉄格子を開ける鍵穴はもちろんあるわよね。
ああ。
Oh, okay, so there is a door. How is the door connected. What are its hinges like?
だいぶ鍵穴の大きい大時代的なものだがね。針金のようなものでいじれば騙せるかもしれないな。
Wire might be difficult then if it's depending on how it's set up, it might be fairly heavy.
電話の金属部品で何か代用できるかもしれない。
Plastic parts as well, maybe, depending if you can break it into the right shape.
その電話、武器になるわね。
投資と同じだよ。情報は武器だ。
Klaus and Kyrie laughed together at how they hadn't even thought of using the phone as a means of communication.
何やってんの姉さん。
その電話つながってるかなって思って。
バカだな姉さんは。
あれ？
At that point, Shannon let out a small, surprised cry.
キリエ様、この電話つながってます。
なんですって？
Now, what's the reason why someone would leave a connected phone? It was like when people move out of an office, taking everything with them, leaving only the telephone behind. That's the feeling the phone gave off, having been left in the corner of the cell. The cord was wound into a coil, the tip of it being swallowed by the wall. Oh, okay. And just looking at it, there was no reason to assume that it wasn't hooked up. But I think it actually was. Ria took the receiver from Shannon and pressed it to her ear. Certainly, the electric hum of the phone was a familiar sound. And this phone was certainly live.
なんという幸運。
Not yet. Why has it been left there? After they've gone through all this effort to get you here, without you knowing how, and apparently in a short amount of time, perhaps rewinding all of your watches, why would they leave a phone there?
警察へ連絡しましょう。
That's not gonna happen.
待ちたまえ。話がうますぎる。
Yeah.
盗聴されているんじゃないのかね。
そんな細工するくらいなら普通は電話線を切断するわ。電柱が本気で見落とした可能性が高い。
Is it already connected to something in the phone?
気づかれたら今度こそ電話線を切断されるかもしれないわ。警察への通報を盗聴されて何も困ることはないのだし。
Surely that was true. The point of a wiretap is to overhear some important piece of information. But the way things were right then, she couldn't think of a single thing that would come up in a conversation to the outside world that might be troublesome to have overheard. Yeah, so they might not have cut this wire off from the network, but they have cut off the network from the outside, almost certainly. Kyrie instantly concluded that it was more likely to be a mistake on Kinzo's part than a trap.
確かに一理あります。外線は確か0番からだ。
カノン君、私は電話するからあなたは外の様子を伺ってくれる？誰かが近づいてくる気配があったら知らせて。
はい。
Cannon raced off towards the iron bars, silenced his breathing, and strained his ears. As everyone present watched her, Kyrie dialed 110. However, she pushed the hook down and redialed many times. It didn't seem to be working very well.
外線は0番から？ 110番は0110じゃないの？うまくかからない。
貸したまえ。私がかけよう。
Kraus took the receiver in Kyrie's place and tested various things. No use. But in the end, they were unable to notify the police. The phone itself was definitely live, but the circuit was apparently cut somewhere. Did this mean that they were not so naive?
やっぱり無理ですか。
敵も甘くはないってことね。
We don't know when the communications get cut. For all we know, the external communications might have been cut before any of the siblings arrived. Because they haven't needed to call when there was the storm. We only noticed after they tried to call during the storm. We aren't aware of any attempted phone calls before the storm. So, who knows how long it's been cut? If it's been cut beforehand, then they might have felt, we don't need to remove the phone, it's already been cut externally. Or some other thing. Kyrie let out a deep sigh, leaning against the wall, and hung her head for a while. They're not going to try to call the children? He sneered at her. Wait, I think I didn't read that. As cool thinking as she was, for a brief moment, she may actually have had the naive hope that the phone might actually work. She sneered at herself mockingly for holding on to that naive hope for even a single moment. Then, she remembered just what was happening here. Truth be told, even after being shown a scene like that right before her eyes, or rather, exactly because of that, she still couldn't think of that gruesome mass murder as something real. It was less that she couldn't believe it, more that she didn't want to. Shiramiya Kinzo killed 6 family members. Summoned strange, witch-like, demon-like people, right out of thin air. And with something like magic, began to kill people, one after another. It's all just so screwed up. Oh, it's just all so screwed up, rather. Even though she saw it, there was no way she could accept that spectacle.
そんなことあるわけがない。あれはきっとお父様の友人か何か。
His friends certainly like to dress in a particular way. Ahem. Ahem. Ahem.
それがあらかじめ食堂のどこかに隠れていて、手品的に突然姿を現して私たちを驚かせただけなんだわ。そう考えなくちゃあのめちゃくちゃを説明できない。
When the 6 had their heads blown apart, a golden arrow had flown around and around the room. That had truly looked like magic. Was that another thing we just saw wrong? There's no way it was magic. It was definitely some kind of setup. Since those heads were smashed, there's no doubt it was some kind of explosive. For example, a styrene toy plane that they sell at candy stores, painted gold, and with a powerful explosive loaded onto the end of it. Really? However, though it had seemed to be flying about at random, Kyrie couldn't imagine that after being fired 6 times, each time had perfectly hit the victim square on the head, one after the other. It couldn't be that there was a computer control system for finding and hitting targets, making it a high-tech styrene plane on the same level as a guided missile, right?
そんなバカバカしい仕掛けを膨大な私費を投じて作らせたと。
What was guided missile tech like in the 80s? I know some of the early stuff had issues.
あのおかしな余興のためにお父様ならやりかねないって
A number of mysterious people appeared out of thin air. 6 people had their heads demolished by a mysterious golden flying object. And the 5 of us were locked away in a mysterious dungeon by a mysterious set of pitfalls, or else put to sleep by some fainting poison dart. Family conference started a bit after 10 p.m. It's only been a bit more than 30 minutes since then. Most likely. Hello? Why are you not going to try to call the children? You know the external line to the police isn't working. How about trying to call someone else externally? How about trying to call someone internally? Even if you just get it to connect and ring. Presumably be better. I'm not sure if they could hear ring, when they tried the police? Most likely, even though I witnessed it myself. That event took place in such a short period of time, so I still can't understand it. I still can't come to grips with it. For argument's sake, even if we did get a hold of the police, it would probably be impossible for anybody to actually accurately explain what we saw. Even though I saw it just now, my brain's fried, and I have no confidence in what I saw myself. Irie tried her hardest to cheer herself out of her overwhelming confusion. Just hold on to her sanity.
くそ、どうなってるんだ。くそ、くそ。
Kraus started becoming desperate, hitting the hook multiple times and resetting the dial. Kraus had also been feigning composure, but he was unable to hide his panic. The more he retried the dial, the more of the pretense of serenity peeled away. I don't know what's going on anymore. Kirie couldn't help but pray that the events that had just occurred were a dream. At that time, the look on Kraus's face changed. Oh?
呼び出してる。呼び出してるぞ。
To what?
コール音がする。
Oh?
本当ですか、クラウスさん。
That's a surprise.
なるほどな。親父め、浅はかな。警察に連絡されまいと外部への電話線は切断したらしいが、
Oh, okay, yeah.
内線は切断し損ねている。
内線？クラウスさんはどこにかけているの？
The children.
ゲストハウスだ。ジェシカたちの部屋の内線番号にかけている。もしもし、もしもし、私だ。お前は誰か？ゴーダか？ジェシカはいるか？無事か？
旦那様、ご無事でよかった。はい、ジェシカお嬢様たちも皆さんご無事です。
However, the children are not hearing this. So, treat this with a grain of salt.
父さんなの？無事でよかった。
Oh, maybe she's hearing it.
母さんは無事なの？そこにいるの？
Kraus choked on his words. So, okay, so Jessica is listening at this point. Kraus had clearly seen Natsu's head crushed, had seen her killed right before his eyes. Eventually, he was going to have to tell that to Jessica. However, Kraus began to fret over whether he should tell her now or not, and lost his words. But even that wasn't an answer under these circumstances.
母さんはわからない。無事を祈ろう。今はお前だけでも無事でよかった。
分かってるよ。聞いてごめん。
Jessica's voice was filled with tears. Kraus was certain now. So, one of the things to ask would be time. Then they could verify if watches had been changed. Although, I guess, unless they're wearing a watch, any culprit could have changed the times of the clocks beforehand. Jessica and the rest had heard everything, from start to finish, after meeting with Goda and Kumasara at the guest house. When they learned that 6 people had been killed, they must have been anxious to rush over to the dining hall. Luckily, he'd been able to call before they'd stormed off towards the mansion. Kraus was relieved of this good timing during such a tragedy.
ここには今、キリエさんと南條先生、それにシャノンとカノンがいる。地下牢のようなところに閉じ込められているが、心配するな。こっちは父さんたちで何とかする。
地下牢？どこ？助けに行く。
あいにく、私たちにもここがどこだか見当もつかむ。食堂の真下だと思っているが、そうでないかもしれない。とにかくジェシカ、そこを出てはならん。ゴーダたちから経緯は聞いているか？
小さな、みんなを慕って。
う おじい様は今正常な状態にない。出くわせば危険だ。殺されるかもしれない。
They flee with extra flee.
私たちを助けに来ようなどと絶対に思ってはならんぞ。こっちはこっちで何とかする。
じゃあ私たちはどうすればいいの？
Keep yourself safe.
小さなめ、よくも母さんたちを。あの死に損ない、ぶっ殺してやる。
Now, also, just note that it's only Jessica that's hearing this. The other cousins aren't hearing this. So, if like Krause's family is behind it, they're probably not, but just in case they are, she might be in on it.
ジェシカ、そんな言葉を使ったら母さんが悲しむぞ。レディーはそんな言葉を使うもんじゃない。
Main reason I think probably not is because Natsuhi died. If it wasn't for that, if we didn't have confirmation Natsuhi died, which we probably do, then it could be that you've got a plant in both groups, wanting to direct the group in certain directions towards a common goal. In any case, I'll be ending it there for today. I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. Until next time, see ya.